Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to this Reviewers, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named JAK, JAK, titled Adrenaline. And if we switch over to here, we've got it on Spotify and we're going to be listening through this track from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Let's do this. Boom. Oh, it's kind of unsettling. I like the filtering in it. Kind of grisly sounding, like we're going to go into a horror film or something like that.
One time for the motherfucking outlaws, two times for those motherfuckers.
Great vocal filtering, really cool attention to detail.
Four times and I'm shedding any tears now. Five times and I'm living with a fear now. Six times but I know that I see them motherfuckers that are telling me that they be now. Tell them I don't wanna get a minute and I wanna get a minute. If I hit it on a penis and I wanna hit a relic and I wanna get a panic and I spell it on a panic. If I hit it on a manic and I read it on a record with a better, then I feel like you just get it and I wanna get up in it. You know that I want a minute and I wanna understand it. If I had a better rhetoric, like I meditate with magic with a motherfucking panic and I wanna see.
Whoa, that flow, he just does not stop. When does it stop? When does he take a breath? There are so many words, and how do you just take that in? It's more like an instrument at this point than a vocal performance just because of the consistency of it. It's like a drum machine, but it's him rapping. I'm going to listen more to the story to tell. Right. Sorry to pause so soon, but this is exactly what I needed. I needed him to slow down, show a bit of range and diversity in that rhythm there. Just to focus on some words in the show. Yeah.
In a minute and I wanna bargain. Telling them that I'm speaking. Walking on board that are creaking. Hiding in the past while I'm peeking. Superficial if I'm leaving. Dropping the beat and I'm flicking the flow. Taking my thoughts and I'm rocking the blow. If I hear nothing, I get up and glow. Curbing the block and I'm watching it roll. I know that I wanna get it like fiends. Broken a minute, I'm drinking the lean. Snap up a limit, I'm sipping it mean. Back up a bitch and I tell it a dream.
And just the production as well, with this kind of really kind of reverb gristly. Again, I've never used gristly a while. That just the piano tone and the drums and that 808 or that bass coming in to really round out that low end with him rapping over it. And the drums slowing down to sort of capitulate to the vocal flow. It's just, it's smart stuff. There's a great sense of unison chemistry between the different instruments in the mix.
And I wanna get up on it cause I want this. Living in the shambles cause I'm honest. And I'm living in a minute and I wanna get up in it and I wanna get up on complex. So I wanna get up in it and I'm killing on the winning and I feel like I'm a sinning and I feel like I'ma get it on a motherfucking demon and I made it with the meaning and I seal it with that what next.
Really simple sort of unison, like with that bass line, with the changes and reflections with those reverse oscillating takes on top.
Dropping the beat and I'm flicking the flow. Taking my thoughts and I'm rocking the blow. If I had nothing, I get up and glow. Curbing the block and I'm watching it roll. I know that I wanna get it like fiends. Broken a minute, I'm drinking the lean. Snap up a limit, I'm sipping it mean. Back up a bitch and I tell her the dream.
It's just done. Man, that was a lot to take in on a first listen, dude. Like, I don't know how you're supposed to absorb everything on that first listen. There were so many words and just like, I know it sounds so basic, but I mean it genuinely as a first impression. That's not a complaint, by the way, because this is the conclusion of my review of Adrenaline by JAK. Me saying that it's difficult to absorb everything does not mean that's a complaint. That means it has replay value. It's just, I'm going to need to listen through it again to basically get all the words clear, because there's so much else to take in alongside the vocals. You got plenty of space as well. That's the weirdest thing about it, is that it's more sort of through composed. He's just telling a story, saying his piece. And then you get that intimate sort of like connection with the musical motif, and then he comes a little bit, and then boom, you're just done. I would almost say that this track is about someone literally experiencing the high of their highs. The intensity of the experience being overwhelming, being wrapped up in that chemical reaction there, how to fix other people, how to fix yourself. Adrenaline, I think, is a track about being at the apex of your game. Because the words came through clearly, don't get me wrong. Yeah, so after listening through it again, just because I just enjoy listening to it, or also because I feel like having a complete like no-show of a general concept outside of a vague sort of assumption is not great for a semi-professional music review. I think it's just literally him communicating how much he wants to be involved in what he's doing and make the most of it, and that there's no hesitation whatsoever, and that he's not taking his no to his for an answer in regards to his future as a musician, as a rapper, and in general. And I think that's cool. The guy is a phenomenal rapper. It's not just the fact that he can spit flow like that and keep that 16th note, the 1E-ender, 2E-ender kind of going there for the amount of time that he did. It's the attitude and the charisma behind the performance as well. We clearly know not only how to articulate ourselves in different segments and have range and space and to be adaptable to that, but also we have someone who is capable of just being interesting to listen to, like when he's not going you know, like there's slightly different ways that he's expressing himself there, and I like the little bits of inflection and the accents and the emphases on different syllables and words and stuff. I think that's great. It shows that you're beyond simply the point where you're trying to get to that level. You're confident at that point, and you don't need to really justify yourself. And it makes sense with the adrenaline thing, the concept of the theme of the song itself. You know, the track itself, beyond that, I listen to this and I think, okay, here is someone who literally knows how to tell a story as well. You kind of don't get the full context of it until the end. So he's kind of baiting you and keeping you going throughout, and I think that's smart, because even if this track is short, you can't assume that just because a track is 2 minutes 33 that people are going to listen through that entire time. There's absolutely no filler within this track. He knows that he's not entitled to his listeners' time, and he's inviting you to make the most of it. And I think that's great. Yeah, no, it's really solid vocal performance there. I have no complaints about that whatsoever. The structure of it, again, nice and short, through composed. It was kind of fresh that we didn't just have to go to the chorus, verse, chorus kind of template there. It was more original and unique, and there's a first impression. I want to know that I'm not just going to get the same as I get with other rappers, you know. Every rapper needs to have a niche, even if they share similar qualities or similar patterns or whatever. You need to be able to sort of easily identify people, because what's the point otherwise? I can see this guy's been releasing stuff since 2019 with Imagination and Strut. I think that the 3 years have served him well. I think that the song, not only in regards to the structure, but also the production, the accompaniment behind it, those synths and keys and the bass and the drums, and those little, it's almost minimalist, but then it's not, because of how wispy and kind of like filtered everything was, and the attention to detail with the production, as well as the overall arrangement and the coloration and the harmonies there. We really didn't stray too far from that D flat note that we had the entire time. I think it was in the key of D flat minor, or C sharp minor. It was just splendid to hear him out. It's a beautiful opportunity to really appreciate someone who not only has the rapping down and understands that they need to keep their songs short in order to keep the people interested, but also puts enough in there just to make it seem like it not only is interesting to listen to, like those wispy synths and the bum 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 bum. You know, there are unusual sort of melodic concepts going on there, those interval shapes. We weren't just messing with traditional major and minor triads or anything like that. It was creativity there, but also that coloration at mid to high range contrasted well with where he was vocally in the mid range. And also, it like sounds like someone experiencing a massive surge of adrenaline. It's overwhelming, it's intoxicating, it's effervescent. It's ludicrous and strange at the same time. And I enjoy the fact we had that connection between all the different elements. I mean, the production, as well as I mentioned, is absolutely phenomenal. I've got no complaints about it whatsoever. This is a very strong track, and I can only imagine that if this guy hasn't gotten attention already, he thoroughly deserves it. The quality of his actual recording is fantastic. It's nice and clear, great EQing and filtering on that. It sits nice and present in the mix. There's no issues with it whatsoever. We have just the rest of the instruments as well. Great side chaining from the kicks, fantastic EQing and effects chains on the rest of them as well, like the keys and the pianos and stuff. Unusual tones to them that he's managed to sort of stitch together in a way that's meaningful and makes a lot of sense. On their own, they might not have sounded okay, but it's the sum of the parts that is greater than some of the individual components. Some of the whole, which is, you know what I mean? It's genuinely a great first impression, and just the nice and wide in the mix. Nice and wide in the mix. No weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. Limiting compression has absolutely smashed it. you know, all in all, this is great. This is a really strong track, and I'm thankful to have the opportunity to review it, because this is my review of JAK or JAK's Adrenaline. Hopefully I enjoyed it. If you did, please do go and show JAK or JAK some love via their various social medias and their Spotify, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.